Hi, this is Michael Buffer, and welcome to the BoxHard Podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Mikey Garcia.
This the monster from the swamps, Regis Rougarou Program.
Hey, what's up? This is King Carlos Molina, former IBF World Champ.
This is Michael, the Bounty Hunter, 2012 Olympian and your people's champ.
This is Charlie Edwards, flyweight champion of the world.
This is Fast Eddie Chambers, and you're listening to the BoxHard Podcast with my main man, Joey Coastman.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 499 of the BoxHard Podcast. I'm your host Joey Coastman. I'm joined as ever by former heavyweight world title challenger, the main man himself, Mr. Fast Eddie Chambers. Eddie, how you doing this week?
I'm doing great, my man. How about you?
Always good when speaking with you, Eddie. Always good when speaking with you. We're going to dive straight into the review part of the show. This one went down last Friday at the MTK Arena in Budapest, Hungary. It was on the 9th of May, the Friday. It was live on DAZN. We saw Roman Fury, one of the Fury brothers. He's now 5-0, a TKO for him in the fourth round against Josip Behar, who's now 7-6. Like I say, TKO there in the fourth and final round, a heavyweight contest there, and Roman Fury marches on. And the main event on that card was Tommy Fury returning to the ring after about a year out, or it could have even been a little bit longer. He's now 11-0, a unanimous decision for him over 6 rounds at cruiserweight against Keenan Hangelik, who's now 5-2. So a Tommy Fury win and a Team Fury double, if you like. He's now 11-0. Moving now then to the Saturday, we're going to go here to Equatorial Guinea. We had over here Kevin Lele Sadjo winning by KO in the third round against Habib Ahmed. He had him down twice, so a good win there for Sadjo. We also had on that card Suleiman Sissoko moving to... forgotten how many wins he's got now off the top of my head, but a points win for him in the end over Egis Kavalauskas, the meme machine. Kavalauskas did have Sissoko down in the second round and the fifth round, including one of the knockdowns. It was a big uppercut. I think it was a left uppercut that meme machine landed. It actually knocked Suleiman Sissoko through the ropes and out of the ring. He managed to get back in and win a decision. So yeah, credit to Sissoko there. Also on that card, Nico Ali Walsh picked up a win as well. He got in there with Ebenezer Sawa, and it was a points win for Nico Ali Walsh. So he's now 12-2 as a pro. We're going to move now then to the Nottingham Arena in Nottingham in the United Kingdom. This again was live on DAZN. Let's touch on the undercard. We had Sam Noakes, friend of the show. He was the guest on last week's show. He moved to 17-0, a KO for him in the third round against Patrick Balaz, who's now 13-5 with a draw. Sam Noakes said it quite openly last week to me. He said that he's expecting to get a stoppage probably in the later rounds. He got him out in the third. He had him down in the first. And yeah, it was a wrist injury for Patrick Balaz in the end. It's kind of crazy. You don't often see what happened unfold. You know, we see wrist injuries, but I think it was from a Sam Noakes punch. It seemed a little bit unclear, but yeah. Anyway, good win there for Sam Noakes. Nice, quick, and easy win. And like he said, I think something big is coming for him in the summer. We also had on that card Owen Cooper moved to 11-1. A points win against Chris Congo, and that's a little bit of an upset there. Chris Congo, friend of the show, now 17-3. I don't know if it was a hard weight cut for him. I think there's talks now of him moving up to 154. He had a fantastic start to the fight, Chris Congo, but he seemed to just run out of steam in the later rounds, and I didn't expect that from him because he's always been, a very good professional. He's gone the rounds a few times now against pressure fighters like Florian Marku, so I thought that he would have seen all of this before and he would have been able to cope with Owen Cooper. But credit to Owen Cooper, who did not stop trying. He put his punches together in bunches in the later rounds and nicked loads of them, and in the end ended up scraping a points win. So yeah, credit to Owen Cooper. That was a big upset. I didn't see that one coming at all. And I'm gutted for Chris Congo because I think it's a big setback. You know, I really do. He hasn't been the most active. He's had a chance a couple of times, you know, boxing on I think he was out in Saudi, boxed on a Saudi card midweek on like a Wednesday night, and I was hoping that he kind of had one foot in the door really for something big in Saudi, but you'd have thought this setback here probably deletes the browsing history, if you like. So I'm hoping he's okay. I must actually reach out to him. I will send him a text. In fact, let me send him a text right now while it's fresh on my mind. There we go. There we go. Text sent. Also on the card, we had Ezra Taylor move to 12-0, a unanimous decision for him in a tough fight over 10 rounds against Troy Jones, who was undefeated as well. He's now 12-1. He loses his O. He put up a really good fight, to be fair to him. Troy Jones wasn't a name that I knew, but he went in here as a massive underdog, and yeah, based off the back of that, I'd like to see him again. That's about as good as he could have done. If it's a good enough fight, you know, you want to see the loser again. As for Ezra Taylor, I just think it's a shame he's a light heavyweight right now in this era that we've got, because I think in the UK, I've said it many times, I feel like a broken record, but we've got a really tough scene at light heavyweight domestically. It's very, very hard to break through in that division, and I don't think he's good enough to beat the domestic guys, and I don't think he obviously goes beyond that. So it's a shame that the competition is so stiff at light heavyweight. I don't really know what he does next. I think they need to be quite protective of him, in all honesty, to keep that undefeated record going. Also on the card, a very, very, very mature performance from Liam Davies, friend of the show, returning back to winning ways. He's now 17-1, a unanimous decision for him over 12 there against the undefeated 12-0 Kurt Walker, now 12-1. That one for the vacant IBF Intercontinental Featherweight title. He's moved up in weight, Liam Davies, obviously, and he looked really good for it. The one thing that you could maybe say is that maybe his power didn't quite carry up with him. That's the one small bit of criticism. Kurt Walker got hit with some really good clean shots from Liam Davies, and he took them surprisingly well. Liam Davies was never known as like a massive puncher. He was kind of like a 50% knockout guy, and we had seen some world-class performances from Liam Davies in, you know, the last few fights of his time at Super Bantamweight before running into Shabazz Massoud. But yeah, it was very impressive in terms of his punch selection the other night. I thought he bossed it really. We saw a bit of everything, honestly. I loved what I saw from him. I thought it was such a good performance. There's going to be people that would have expected him to get the stoppage. I think most did, in all honesty, especially just going off the fact that Kurt Walker had a close fight with Leon Woodstock. It's not really a great look. Liam Davies, though, his first fight of the weight, you know, you've got to be patient, and yeah, I liked what I saw from him. It wasn't really a close fight. Kurt Walker did try his absolute best, and credit to him. He made it exciting. But Liam Davies just had an answer for everything that he came with, and I thought it was. I can't stop saying that word, mature. I thought it was a really, really mature performance from Liam Davies, and I think he has a bright future still, even with that setback to Massoud. And the main event, Anthony Kakachi, now 24-1, a TKO for him in the 9th round against Lee Wood, now 28-4. Wood counted in the 9th round after being kept up by the ropes, and then his corner threw the towel in the end. A dramatic finish there for Kakachi. Really, really good fight. There were a lot of people picking Wood as well going in. I was quite confident in Kakachi, but I did feel that it was probably going to go the distance. Having said that, I believe that all 3 of Wood's prior losses were by stoppage, so he doesn't really tend to lose on points. You can't count him out at any moment because he does have heavy hands, and And yeah, it was a good fight. It was a good fight. It was a good action fight. But Anthony Kakachi, you know, he's very, very classy. He's very, very accurate. Doesn't waste much at all. And it took him a couple of rounds, I'd say, till he really started finding his range and, you know, dictating the pace of the fight. I felt his judge of distance was fantastic. And at times he would just keep Leigh Wood at bay with a nice ramrod jab, and you know, it was clever boxing IQ type, you know, of a fight from Kakachi. Leigh Wood tried his best, as he does, but like I say, as the rounds went on, I think Kakachi started to sit down on his shots a bit more, and they started to take effect on Leigh Wood, and yeah. At that point, I actually decided to place a little bet in play for Kakachi to win by stoppage, and obviously that wound up happening. He ended up stopping him. I backed him to get the stoppage in the last, I think, the last half of the fight, which ended up happening. So yeah, he started busting him up around sort of like round 5, round 6, and yeah, Ben Davison threw the towel in that 9th round, and it was probably the right thing to do, because Leigh Wood was kind of, how can I say, he was, you know, his balance wasn't there. He was kind of running sort of from one side of the ring to the other without kind of, his legs weren't in communication with, you know, his brain. I don't think he seemed to kind of not really know where he was for a while. And it was a good stoppage from Ben Davison, no problem with that whatsoever. But a great win for Kakachi, who shows he's levels above really. And I'd like to see him get the unification that he talks about. He wants to fight O'Shaki Foster. I would love to see that. Moving now then to the Pechanga Arena in San Diego, California. This one was live on ESPN. It was live on Sky Sports. We had on the undercard, firstly, Andres Cortez, friend of the show, moved to 23-0, a unanimous decision over 10 rounds at super featherweight against Salvador Jimenez, former opponent of Ryan Garner. He's now 14-2 with a draw. That's 2 back-to-back losses for him. It wasn't the best fight to watch whatsoever, and Cortez tried his best, but Jimenez, very negative. We also had Raymond Muratalla move to 23-0. This one for the IBF interim lightweight world title, a 12th round unanimous decision over Zor Abdullayev, who is now 20-2. He's not a bad fighter, Abdullayev, and he definitely caused a few issues. And yeah, he was on a heck of a kind of a heck of a run since being stopped by Devin Haney all them years back, but yeah, it came to an end here, and like I've said many, many times, Muratalla, he's been learning on the job. He's been getting better and better and better, and yeah, he's a very exciting fighter as well. And then we move to the main event, which was super duper controversial. We had Emmanuel Navarrete move to 40-2 with a draw. A technical decision, unanimous for him, so he retains his WBO super featherweight world title. In the other corner, the previously undefeated 18-0 Filipino Charlie Suarez loses his like I say, technical decision due to the Navarrete cut, which was ruled by the referee as a head clash. It seemed from the replays that it was caused by a punch, actually. So in all honesty, it should have been a TKO, you know, by a cut for Charlie Suarez, the new champion. Now, first things first, we all know about Navarrete's weight cut. He came in just about over the weight, and then there was a few times where he come back on the scales, and he was slightly over, if I'm not mistaken. I think it took him a few attempts. So it seemed to indicate a very tough weight cut for him, which was a little bit of a concern, because Charlie Suarez, you know, he's a talented, you know, talented boxer who can punch, good experience, and he's kind of got that style anyway that I think could frustrate Navarrete on a good day. And for Navarrete to be, you know, to have a tough time making the weight, that's not what he needs, really. So I'm going to go through my scorecard. The first round I gave to Navarrete. The next 2 rounds I gave to Suarez, so round 2 and 3. I gave round 4, 5, and 6 to Navarrete, and then I gave round 7 to Suarez. Round 6 was a close round, if my memory serves me right, but it was a very close fight up until the point of the stoppage. Like I say, I did have Navarrete by 1, but there were people that had Suarez by 1. There were people that had Suarez by 2. When the cut opened, it completely changed the fight because Navarrete clearly was being bothered by the cut. The blood was streaming into his eye. He kept dabbing at the cut. He kept trying to wipe the blood away from his eye, and he was almost boxing at times with one hand, and he was being very desperate. He was trying to land a big shot, hoping to hurt and maybe stop Suarez, and because he was so reckless in trying to land that shot, he kept getting caught. So it looked as though Suarez was well on his way to winning the fight, in all honesty. They stopped it, and it goes to the scorecards, and Navarrete is revealed as the winner and still the champion, of course, which obviously did upset a lot of people. If the fight would have gone 1 or 2 more rounds, I think it was just clear to see the writing was on the wall. There was nothing that Navarrete could do. He could not cope with that cut, and it hampered his ability to actually fight to his full potential. So Suarez was definitely going to win that fight. I don't think he was in any danger of losing at all. He looked fresh as a daisy when they stopped the fight, and basically a lot of people were saying, oh, it's corruption, and I can understand why people would think that, because it did look a bit fishy. They took absolutely ages to come up with the 3 judges' scorecards as well. That took ages in the ring, like about 10 minutes. Both fighters talking to their corners, trying to find out what's going on. It literally took about 10 minutes to get the scorecards, which was insane. You had the commissioner going over there, talking to the judges. They all seemed stressed, and I was just thinking, oh my gosh, because I actually had quite a big bet on Navarrete to win this fight, and I was sweating I was really sweating, man. So I was thankfully did win, but all of that bias aside, I did have him up by 1. I can see people that like I say could have had it the other way round. The momentum was massively with Suarez. He was completely taking over. And winning probably 80% of the rounds after the cut opened. Like I say, there was a well, I'll take that back. There was a close round in the 6th. If you score that the other way, it becomes a totally different fight, and many did score that the other way. So yeah, he was well on his way to victory, and yeah, many felt it was snatched away from him because it just didn't quite sit right what happened there. I don't think we're going to see a rematch. I think Navarrete probably moves up in weight and thanks the Lord that he didn't lose his belt and rack up another loss. But yeah, it was what it was. The replays, it was a bit weird because he got hit by a shot, then the same area of his head, they did actually clash heads lightly, and then also the glove of Suarez seemed to kind of graze the same area on Navarrete's head, all within about 2 seconds, like a punch, then a headbutt, then a graze, and then next thing you know, Navarrete's bleeding. So yeah, it was a little bit unclear, and I felt for the video referee. I felt for the actual referee in the ring as well. It was a tough call and all the rest of it. But I'm hoping that there wasn't corruption involved there, and it was 100% by the books, and those scorecards were not revised. But yeah, I've given it too much time, to be honest with you, so I'm going to move on. But yeah, very, 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 very controversial, and everyone is talking about that on social media. The final thing to mention of the review part of the show was a fight that went down at the Foxwoods Resort in Connecticut, USA. We had 16-0 undefeated Kevin Walsh stepping in a 10-rounder, which he was able to win a split decision over 10 against friend of the show, the mighty midget Tremaine Williams, now 20-3. Like I said on last week's show, it was his first fight back since going viral for having a seizure in the ring. He went the 10 rounds and lost a split decision. All the very best to him nonetheless. That then brings the review part to a close. It's now time to welcome this week's special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the reigning IBF Bantamweight champion of the world. It is, of course, the wonderful Shurretta Metcalf. Shurretta, welcome to the show.
Hey, I love how you said my name right. I love it.
So first things first, welcome once again. It's great to have you on. It really is. You're a reigning world champion right now, which is sensational. But tell me about your journey, Shurretta, since turning pro, because obviously it's a very unusual one, really, when you think about it. You turned pro in 2016, age 31. You're now 40. I know that you look about 16. Don't worry about that. But you seem to be getting better as you get older. Obviously, you lost 3 of your first 5 pro fights. You've gone on to achieve what you've gone on to achieve. What exactly has changed from then to now?
Because when I turned pro, I was like literally learning on a job. You know, I didn't really have a deep, extensive background in boxing. But a lot of those fights, they wasn't really recorded. But those girls didn't really just beat me. I would say really the early in my career, maybe my first loss, probably, you know what I'm saying, was a loss. But the rest of them, I had those girls leaking. So, you know, it is what it is. But I just look at those as lessons, because now I can say I'm a world champion. I've fought some of the best. I done took girls' O's. I done took girls' belts, and that's what I'm planning on doing July 11th.
There we go. And again, those fights that we mentioned, they were 4-rounders. You know, those fights can be scored here, there, and everywhere. We've seen it before.
Yes.
How important, though, has self-belief been for you on a personal level? Because I'm sure that there's probably people that looked at those early fights and probably thought, I'm not sure that you're going to be able to go far. But you've obviously gone on to achieve something because you knew different.
I always know different. I know one thing about myself. I've been an athlete my whole life. I've played basketball. I've ran track. I've ran cross country. I've played soccer. So all it takes is just hard work and dedication to any sport. Like, I might not be good at it at first, but when I finish, I'm going to be great at it. And as of right now, I can be considered up there for some of the great fighters as well. I'm up there with them.
100%. And I feel like personally your coming out party was probably the Melissa Odessa Parker fight.
Yes.
You know, she was undefeated. She likes to talk, as we know. She's a good fighter. She's gone on to lose a couple more times since that fight, but honestly, on her day, she's a very capable fighter. Would you agree that that was the first fight that kind of captured the attention of the public a bit more?
It definitely did. I ended up moving down in weight, which was something that I had been wanting to do, because if you look at my fights, I started at that weight. And I had to move up because at that time when I turned pro, it wasn't really a lot of competition for me in that weight class, so I had to keep moving around. So then I was able to fight down at that weight, and I was really ready to fight her. Like, I've been wanting to get these fights. I've been wanting to get the better pay, and so Lou DiBella came around, and that's what happened.
And only 4 months later, that's when you had another step up, really. This time against former super flyweight world champion Miyo Yoshida. That was the first fight between you both. I felt the first fight was close. Obviously, you got the decision. Tell me about that first fight, if you can, Shurretta.
It was a last minute fight, because at first I was supposed to be fighting someone else. And so they end up saying, you know what, we're going to switch the whole fight. We're going to end up having you fight Miyo Yoshida. And then we're going to have you fight for the vacant IBF Bantamweight world belt, because then that way whoever wins can be in place to go for the world title. So I was just like, cool, I'm with it. So they was telling me who she was. We couldn't really find a lot of footage of her, but the footage we did find was when she did lose, she so happened to lose to a girl who was my height and could box. And so we knew the game plan was like, hey, I know that's what I am. I'm a boxer. So I went into the fight. I just knew that I was going in her backyard because she lives there, and that's who they wanted to be, that girl. and I just came and did what I was supposed to do, and I outboxed her.
You certainly did. And talking of last-minute switches and opponent changes, just to tell the story for those that don't know, obviously in boxing things are never straightforward. But 4 weeks after losing to you in that fight, Yoshida gets the call for the Ebony Bridges fight for Bridges' world title. You yourself had been calling for the Ebony Bridges fight for some time at the time. Yoshida somehow, like I say, gets the opportunity despite losing to you just a month earlier. And credit to Yoshida, she goes in there and upsets the odds, dethrones Ebony.
I was there.
Yeah, that was a fantastic performance from Yoshida. A lot of people felt she exposed Ebony, but back onto your own journey, you then get the rematch with Yoshida, and this time you truly dominated her. It wasn't a close fight. You made history yourself. Talk me through that night, which I know will be a night you will never forget.
And so, what's so crazy? We was preparing for her to be more aggressive than she was the first fight, because that's the only way we could see her. But she actually tried to box me. So she tried to stay away from me, which wasn't a very good game plan, when my whole thing was to make sure I keep that jab on her. So, as throughout the fight, it don't matter if I just kept it in her face. It don't matter if I just touch it, because at the end of the day, a jab is a blinder and a finder, and she couldn't really get past it a lot. And so whenever she would come in, I would make her pay. And I say around the 4th, 5th round is when I started finding my uppercuts and things like that, because I was just like, okay, she's not being aggressive what we thought, so we're just going to try to catch her whenever she do come in. And I knew I won that fight. Because I feel like I was a more aggressive person. I was the one who was coming forward the most. I was one who was dictating the pace of the fight.
Yeah, not a shadow of doubt there. I remember staying up late to watch that fight live, and it wasn't close. That's the perfect way to end a rematch, really. And I remember that as well. At times you were lighting her up a little bit. It was a fantastic performance, I have to say. You're now signed to Jake Paul's Most Valuable Promotions outfit. Firstly, I love what they're doing for women's boxing. Just this week, they signed 2 British ladies, Chantel Cameron and Savannah Marshall. Talk to me about what it's like being a part of the stable and being on the best women's team in the boxing world.
I'm talking about, it's such an honor. I'm so very grateful. I am so happy, because as you know, you could be a world champion and you could still be unhappy. And I was an unhappy world champion because I wasn't getting all the recognition. I wasn't getting promoted as such, and things that I felt that I should have been getting. And within a week, Jake Paul and them changed our lives. They showed us, like, hey, these are what world champions supposed to be treated like. They treat us like celebrities that we are. Like, we work hard just as hard as the men, or even harder. Half of us are mothers, and we're still out here putting everything on the line, and they promote us as such. Like, it's super crazy. It's so much fun. Like, I can't even explain it all.
I appreciate your attempt to explain it. You said there that half of you are mothers. I know that you've been asked this question about 170,000 times, but what's it like? Obviously, it's well documented. You're a mother of 2. I can't imagine what that must be like, because I'm a father of 1 and I don't have to go and box, but I'm telling you now, it must be crazy having to box with 2 kids.
Man, they're my motivation. They're the reason why that I do what I do, because I want my kids to have a parent to just look up to, someone to look up to that's close to them, to let them know, hey, we might come from this area. We might not have the best of things, but when we work hard and you see how the life is changing for us, because you see your mom making your life change, that that you still have hope in whatever. And I just want to give that to my boys.
How old are they, if I can ask?
Yeah, they're 20 and 17 now. Okay. So of course I still talk to them like they still I talk about them like they just babies, but they're my babies.
For sure, always.
Yeah, they're my baby. They're my first love.
There we go, 100%. Do they get nervous when it's time to fight for you?
A little bit. They don't like for me to get hit.
Yeah.
So, and my son that's autistic, he's so funny because they are very picture graphic. So he's like, Mom, you need to make sure you keep your hands up. That's when no girls are hitting you when you don't have your hands up. Mom, you need to keep your hands up because I don't like you to get hit. So it's just really funny.
Bless. That's so cute, man. Well,
I
say cute.
Yes, he's analyzing.
I'm talking like they're babies as well. Yeah, 100%. But yeah, let's touch on the main event. Obviously, like you say, you'll be boxing July 11th at the MSG in New York in a unification against the undefeated WBO and WBC champion Dina Thorslund. Firstly, it's part of a great all-women's card live on Netflix. It's part of the Taylor Serrano free saga. But yeah, your fight is what I want to talk about. What do we know about Dina, and what should fans expect to see from you both really on the night?
I'm thinking y'all should see some fireworks. You're about to see, I guess, thunder and lightning because she's known for power, and I'm known for that long jab and that speed that's coming. So it's going to be a hell of a fight. And the best woman's going to win. And I feel like I'm the one that's going to come out on top.
Do you feel that she'll be your toughest test of your career thus far?
She might be. I feel like she will be because of the fact that what's on the line for me with fighting her. So long as I just stay calm like I did when I fought Yoshida, I done got the nerves out because I feel like I was more relaxed when I fought Yoshida the first time than actually fighting for the world title because we was fighting at Madison Square Garden, and it was for my first world title fight. So long as I just stay level-headed and don't let the crowd of how big the magnitude of this fight is, and just stick to my game plan, I feel like that'll be what it could be.
It's interesting there that you talk about, the fight being at MSG. It was in the theatre, the first one. You're in the big room now for this second one. So this is your home. You've been here before. I mean, she's coming a long way, but this is to your backyard. The whole event is so good, and obviously the two fights with Serrano and Taylor were just incredible.
Fireworks.
Yeah, and it's almost guaranteed to be fireworks once again. I was gonna say, there's such great fights on the card, but it must be tough, kind of thinking like I almost feel like it's impossible to steal the show because that fight's just gonna be guaranteed fireworks, like you say.
Yes, it's gonna be guaranteed fireworks, and then you got to realize we got freaking Alicia the Bomb Garner on the card. And she never fails to deliver. And then you have also you got Ellie Scottney on the card. That's my girl. You know what I'm saying? And she's fighting somebody who I like a lot. I'm a fan of too. She's fighting Mercado, and she always seems to deliver too as well. So it's just like I'm coming to do my thing, but you definitely right. It's gonna be hard to steal a show. But this whole card is going to be fireworks, and that's it. That's what am loving. Like, I wish that I could watch some of the card while I'm while I'm in the back or something for some reason. It's going to be lit.
I'm sure you'll find a way to watch some of it for sure.
Yeah.
Just before we let you go, we've kind of whizzed through everything I had for you, Shurretta. I wanted to ask, and I like to ask this question to everyone that I interview from overseas. If you have one, it'd be great to hear it. If you don't, that's totally fine. But do you have a favourite UK fighter? It can be any era. It can be male or female. It's completely up to you if you have one. If you do, who does spring to mind?
Oh, I definitely like Ellie Scottney is like one of my favorites, her and Katie Taylor. She's considered a European, even though she's from Ireland.
She's Irish, yeah.
Okay. Well, then most likely it's gonna be like Ellie Scottney. I like her a lot. Savannah Marshall, she's not a bagger either, and I do love Chantel Cameron. Mm-hmm. Chantel Cameron is that girl too. Hey, she gave Katie her first loss.
Absolutely.
Yes. So I'm pretty much I love the women fighters over there a lot. And I'm down, and I do like Kell Brook. He got like one of the best 1-2s that I really love. His 1-2 is money all the time.
Wasn't it crazy? I don't know about you. If it, I don't know. Maybe you knew this, but wasn't it crazy when Ebony Bridges and Kell Brook popped up with a child?
That was definitely crazy. I didn't even expect that at all. That was crazy.
That was one of the craziest things in boxing in recent history. That was like, what the hell? Yeah. I still can't quite believe that. But what a random.
That's very random, because if the stories you hear, it's just for both of them. It's like, what?
yeah, it really was crazy. But yeah, just before we let you go, Shurretta, if you've got any closing words to the listeners, particularly your listeners in the UK, but any message at all that you want to send out before we let you go, you can say whatever you like. The floor's yours.
Hey, I just want to say to all my UK fans, because I definitely have some, I appreciate you guys following me, cheering for me, and rooting for me. And just know, hey, I'm coming back with those belts. So we're just going to have a whole party on X. I probably can't get over there to you guys, but we just going to need to make a whole party on X, make a whole space about it.
Cannot wait. And just for those as well that want to follow the journey that are not already following, on Twitter, on X, as you say these days, it's at @da_slim_goody. That's goody, GOODY. And on Instagram is it's at da_real_slim_goody. So she likes her underscores, but you've got 100% going for
so you know it's me.
There we go. It's the real queen. Listen, Shurretta, as I say, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on this week. Thank you so much for your time. Best of luck for July the 11th. I'm pulling for you for sure, and we'll speak again soon.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Okay, now it's time for part 2 on this week's show. No news to bring you, so let's move straight on then to the preview part. We're going to start here at the Copper Box Arena in Hackney Wick, Middlesex. Is it even Middlesex? United Kingdom. It's going to be live on DAZN. It's an Eddie Hearn Matchroom boxing show. Few shout outs on the undercard. We have friend of the show Shannon Ryan, 8-1, back in an 8-rounder against Farah El Busiri, who's 10-5, never been stopped. Shannon Ryan still yet to get a career KO, so I'm expecting this one to go the distance. We've also got John Hedges, 10-0, back in a 10-rounder against Nathan Corliss, who's 13-1, could be a good fight. We've also got another one that could be interesting, George Liddard. He's 11-0, he's back in a 10-rounder here against Aaron Sutton, who's 19-1. We've also got another decent fight, Kieran Conway, 22-3 with a draw, back in the ring against Jerome Warburton, who's 15-1 with 2 draws. That one there is for the British and Commonwealth middleweight titles. Jerome Warburton hasn't really sort of boxed any great fighters. He does have a win over Aaron Sutton that we just mentioned there, who's fighting George Liddard. That was a close one that he won on points. But other than that, he did have a very close fight, a split draw with Ryan Kelly, who we saw Kieran Conway really struggle with last time out when he won a split decision over him. So they both had close fights with Ryan Kelly in recent times. But Jerome Warburton, he hasn't sort of boxed at the level of Kieran Conway, and I'm hoping that Kieran Conway just had simply an off night against Ryan Kelly, because we've seen him perform much better than he did that night there. But that was his last fight, so there are a few little concerns, but it could be an interesting contest there. Like I say, over 12 rounds for the British and Commonwealth. And the main event, it is the rematch that we weren't sure we were going to get. It's over 10 rounds at heavyweight. We have the undefeated 13-0 Johnny Fisher stepping in with friend of the show, friend of yours, Eddie, Dave Allen, 23-7 with 2 draws these days. Obviously coming off that split decision loss back in December to Johnny Fisher. It's an instant rematch for both men. I'm going to start with you, Eddie. I'm going to come to you here. The first fight was really, I felt, quite interesting because obviously just the interest that I had in the fight. Like, I like Dave, I like Johnny. I know Dave. I don't actually know Johnny on a personal level, but I like watching his career. I think he's an exciting heavyweight. I don't know how high his ceiling is going to be. to be honest with you. But he's good viewing, and yeah, I was really intrigued to see how the fight would unfold. I did feel going in that Dave Allen's got too much mileage on the clock and he's probably going to wind up getting stopped. And how wrong I was, because Dave Allen arguably won the fight and caused him major issues. And now I'm really not sure which way it's going to go. I'd probably actually lean to Dave Allen, because he just kind of was able to old man Johnny Fisher a little bit, and it was only 5 months ago. I don't know if he's had enough time to fully polish everything up. And yeah, it's not like Dave Allen's going to have regressed loads since that night either. So it makes for a very interesting rematch, and I give Johnny Fisher credit for even taking the rematch, because he could have just ran a few miles the other way, especially after escaping with the narrow victory. But we're getting it again. Credit to both men, two gents, and hopefully it's a good fight. It's not going to be hitting and not getting hit. It's not going to be an advertisement for the art of boxing. I don't think anyone's expecting that, but we should get some good action if it's going to be anything like the first fight, which I think it will be.
That's a great assessment, Joe, of what is probably to come with this fight. Although, like I've always said, Dave has so much ability if he would just harness it and use it. but he's so dead set on beating the opponent down, hitting on the top and on the back of the head, hitting on the leg. He's willing to do the things to make the fight ugly and nasty that I think the fighters are going to hate, but the fans are going to love. So, you already seen it at least once. And once again, Dave gave a good account of himself in the form of toughness, grit, power, determination type of thing. But like I said, he has the skill, but I don't think at this stage of his career he's going to go and revert to that to win the fight. So very interesting fight the first time, very fun fight. This is an old school kind of back in the day kind of feel where both guys are going to be hitting to get hit and not hitting to not get hit type of thing. You understand what I'm saying? So if you are a new boxing fan, you're going to love this. If you're an old boxing fan and a savvy and intelligent boxing fan, you're still going to love it. I mean, like you said, it's not going to be an advertisement for the art, but it's definitely going to be an advertisement for the excitement. So Dave is my guy. You know what I mean? You know that, Joe, and so are you. But and I would love to see him be able to pull it off. Obviously, I thought he did the first time, but it didn't work out that way. And if I was Johnny Fisher, considering that he got away with one the last time possibly, I would have probably ran in the opposite direction. But credit to him to come right back and have a return match right away and going in to right the wrong, or, well, not necessarily the wrong because he actually won, but at least get this kind of thing erased from the memory, at least in his memory and in some fans. So, but I got to ride with Dave, and I think him and the success he had in the first fight, I think is going to be a pretty similar situation. You know what I mean? I hope that Dave doesn't get overconfident thinking that because the way the first fight went that he can just kind of go in and do the same thing. I think he's going to have to go in for the first round or so with, it's hard for me. I laugh when I say kind of cautious or at least careful, going in with the attack. But at the same time, he does need to be on the front foot, pedal to the metal to a degree, wear the guy down, start by, putting those heavy shots to the body and kind of wearing them down toward, as the fight goes on. But there's also another issue that could be in for Johnny Fisher is that, maybe the difficulty in the first fight can start to spill over in his mind into the second fight. Could, in this fight, which could spell, be the end of the fight before it even starts. So, those are all things we have to consider. But like I said, I got to back Dave, and I think he's going to do it this time. I think he's going to actually get the decision, especially because of what happened in the first fight. Sometimes judges and they'll look and they'll think, oh, well, he didn't get a fair shake the first fight. And, it's a human thing. It's not like AI scoring it. You know what I'm saying? This is human beings doing it. So there's sometimes influence from the crowd, sometimes influence from previous outings and all kind of like things like that. So, but I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be an excellent fight. It's going to be entertaining again. Shit, maybe even more entertaining than the first time. So let's I'm looking forward to it, and just let's hope for the best.
Let's hope for the best for sure. So moving on then to the final card to mention, which goes down at the Commerce Casino in California, USA. This one's going to be live on USA UFC Fight Pass. I'm sure I'm going to have to find a stream somewhere because it features our very good friend in the main event, Michael Fox. He's 24-4. He's stepping in with Sergey Boachuk, though, 25-2, who doesn't like to hear the final bell. So either I think it's fair to say, as much as I love Mike, he's a big underdog here. It's a 10-rounder at Super Welter. And I think Mike told me when we had him on the show a few weeks ago that they've actually made it at 157 or something like that. They paid him more money to go up because Boachuk didn't want to lose the weight. I don't really like all of that. I feel like he's kind of giving away some of his natural advantages there. But yeah, I mean, is Mike Fox going to get stopped for the first time in his career? I really hope not. Is he going to completely outbox Boachuk? We'll have to wait and see. I'd love him to do it. I would love him to do it. Of course, I'm absolutely pulling for Mike Fox. And on that undercard as well, just one fight to mention between two of the women down at Super Flyweight. We've got a WBO Super Flyweight world title fight over 10-2s there. We've got the champion Mizuki Hiruta 7-0 stepping in with Carla Marino, who's 16-2. That just about wraps up, though, the preview part of the show. In part one, we did the review part. Then we welcomed our special guest, yet another new world champion on the podcast that we've never had before. There was no news in part two. We then went on to the preview part, which I've just wrapped up there with the help of my very best friend. The final thing for me to do is to come in with the outro, which I'll do in just a few seconds. Okay, and this wraps up episode 499 of the BoxHard Podcast. I cannot believe that episode 500 is just a week away. That is insane. I cannot believe it, man. But anyway, I've been your host, Joey Coastman. Eddie Chambers has been with me for the duration of the show. A massive shout out to this week's special guest, the reigning IBF Female Bantamweight Champion of the world, the wonderful Shurretta Metcalf. The biggest thanks of all, though, goes out to you, the listeners. Thanks once again for tuning in. That is about everything now from myself. Enjoy your weekends, people. Stay safe, and we'll see you all again same time next week.